Okay, money doesn't buy FaZe. This one's gonna be nostalgic. We gotta watch this.
There's some things in this world that
OG FaZe cannot be topped.
Love, happiness. But what about a cultural phenomenon?
The new one might be good, great, but OG.
You have one chance in life to be a part of something like this.
Yeah.
FaZe Clan
once
is
in a lifetime.
Ignited a generation.
If y'all missed it, y'all had to be there.
United strangers and forged an unstoppable movement. But where there's lightning, there's always someone trying to put it in a bottle.
It is disastrous, and it only continues to get worse.
The downfall of FaZe was one fueled by greed, a corporate takeover led by a mysterious figure quietly lurking in the shadows.
This guy's whispering in my ear like, your life's gonna change forever, you're gonna be a millionaire, this and that.
A never-ending game of divide and conquer.
That's how it always starts.
I will never be like you. I will never take a check. And it's so sad some of y'all are taking checks and deals.
A revolving door of billionaires, royalty, suits with more money than God forced their way in, planted their flags, and claimed the logo as their own. But there was just one problem. Money doesn't buy what a logo represents. Growing up in the early 2000s was simple. It was an era of flip phones, shopping malls, and movie rooms. But if there was one thing that stuck with me the most from my childhood, it was that those damn video games were gonna rot my brain.
For real though. This is a W scene. I don't know how he made this.
To screen cheating in Halo, and even establishing a crippling gambling addiction at the age of 10, video games completely consumed my childhood.
That's crazy.
Now, I'll be the first to
crippling
admit,
gambling addiction
wasn't
at 10.
considered cool back then. Honestly, most people just thought it was made for nerds. But then
It's a
someone
fact.
jumped off a crane, spun around 3 times mid-air, and trick-shotting was born.
Oh my God!
As YouTube exploded in the late 2000s,
go.
and blockbuster titles
W
like
adapt.
MW2 and Black Ops took over like wildfire, a new wave of gamers emerged. And at the forefront of this revolution was a group of friends who weren't just playing the game, they were breaking it.
Insane. Nobody could do this content.
FaZe
You're
wasn't
right.
necessarily about winning matches.
If it wasn't for
They
them,
were about
nobody.
creating moments, the kind that you couldn't ignore. Instead of focusing on objectives like capturing flags or planting bombs, FaZe members were in the lobby for one reason: trick shots.
Oh, that was clean, Rain.
Every trick shot was a performance, and FaZe turned these performances into art.
Yo, nah, for real though. Was the mystery box the first gambling addiction that we all acquired?
Their iconic ill cam montages sync perfectly with music, transform simple kill cams into viral phenomena. These videos weren't just highlights, they were cultural statements. And every last detail was so effortlessly perfect.
What it was to like be asked to join FaZe back then,
I
like,
cried.
no contracts, no anything. Like it wasn't even a question. If you played Call of Duty during that time, your dream in life was to join FaZe.
What started
For
as
real.
3 guys playing
For
video
real.
games and making videos quickly became one of the most exclusive status symbols in all of gaming. With members across the globe and thousands dreaming of being invited, being a part of FaZe meant you were somebody. You sat at the hypothetical cool kids table of the gaming world. Now, for most, that's what it would stay. Just a random sequence of 4 letters and a gamer tag. But for a select group, they would decide to take this opportunity and run with it.
What's up, guys? My name is FaZe Temper, and this is the FaZe and G Fuel House.
Founding members Temper,
Oh my
Apex,
God.
Rain, and
The
Banks made a
OG
pivotal
house.
decision to transform their passion into a legitimate business. They split equity equally among themselves, each taking 25%, and began laying the foundation for what would become a viral empire.
So I'm here with Richard Banks, my new roommate.
They decided to take the Xbox parties into real life, moving into a house together in New York.
So I'm gonna be moving from California to New York. Yeah, this is not something I really planned on doing.
The New York house wasn't about calculated moves. It was a natural evolution that I think just about every guy ever has gone through. And by sharing a space, they created this environment where creativity thrived, and their synergy was captured in every piece of content.
I love that.
Apex so short.
Without even realizing it, they pioneered the Content House model. Team 10, Hype House, and countless others would later replicate
real.
this formula.
Nobody
while creating
can
carbon
replicate
copies
this, though.
of this exact strategy.
The strategy's cool, but it's never the same, bro.
The Content House model works so well because each person acts as a character in the other's vlogs. It's a way to cross-pollinate
true.
audiences. If one member succeeds,
Oh,
everyone
hell no.
succeeds. And my God, did FaZe Clan blow up during this era.
I love it. I love that. I love that.
By 2018, FaZe Clan was at its zenith. They had become the face of gaming culture and one of the most recognizable brands on the internet. Hollywood Hills mansions, supercars, sponsorship deals, and a never-ending stream of viral content painted a picture of unstoppable success.
Bro,
Yet just beneath the
legends.
surface, a slow
Oh
poison
my
was
God.
spreading. Lavish spending, strained relationships, and the relentless pursuit of growth masked a deeper issue. Somewhere in the shadows, a mystery man began to emerge.
One of the first guys that came into the company, and I can't name names because I'll get sued. It's just annoying.
Like the ESPN documentary, it's like missing the most important, like how we even lost the company. Nobody talked about it.
Sebastian Gertz is a businessman from Norway, who's a bit of a virtual ghost on the internet.
This is him.
Outside of a few inactive social media accounts and a blog post from 2009 that claims that Sebastian was a common fake flexer at Stockholm nightclubs, there was honestly very little I could find about his personal persona. But I did notice a bit of a recurring pattern in his corporate strategy. There's dozens of registered companies under his name that filed for incorporation and subsequently filed for bankruptcy a few years down the road. Now, in 2014, Sebastian started a company called Hubrik. Hubrik was a social media platform, one that was meant to rival Twitter to be the next Facebook. It was pitched as the next big app to dominate the internet, but instead, it was just the first domino to fall in the collapse of FaZe Clan. The saga of Hubrik and FaZe Clan starts back in June of 2015, when Sebastian Gertz reached out to FaZe founder Temper to discuss how he could break into the esports industry. And
yo, does anybody, I'm gonna back it up, sorry about that. Does anybody remember when Banks, I know this is like a dark time in his life, but does anybody remember when I was literally up like middle of the night watching Banks crash out? I think he was in like somewhere in Europe or something, and he was crashing out on Snapchat up for like 4 days straight, bro. That was like my news for the day. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? This is my GOAT. Like, oh my God, this can't be happening. Does anybody remember that?
When Sebastian Gertz reached out to FaZe founder Temper to discuss how he could break into the esports industry. And shortly after, both Temper and Banks were on the next flight out to Norway. Whatever was said in those early meetings must have left an impression, because over the next several months, Banks and Temper made repeated trips back.
This
first
was
to
the
Norway,
time.
then to Berlin, and then to London, where Hubrik had satellite offices. Each visit seemed to solidify their connection, with Sebastian playing the perfect host, parading them around Europe, showing them the sights, and immersing them in his world. Slowly but surely, he gained.
Yo, quick, sorry again for pausing. Quick sauce for y'all. All the rich people do that exact same thing, and maybe they might not even be rich, but some of them definitely got money. But that's definitely the play. A lot of these people with money, they just have a bunch of LLCs that aren't even in their name. They have like a whole pyramid of LLCs, and it's just stacked on top of each other until there's one big conglomerate, and it might not even be in their name. It's the craziest thing. I used to work with this guy that had a bunch of that. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
Around Europe, showing them the sights, and immersing them in his world. Slowly but surely, he gained their trust. And once he had it, he started planting seeds. Casual conversations turned into deep discussions about the future of FaZe, about its potential, about how it could evolve beyond trick shots and Call of Duty montages. He positioned himself as a guide, someone with the business acumen to elevate FaZe to new heights. As the months went on, the meetings became more serious. Plans were being drawn, ideas exchanged, but always behind closed doors. FaZe members would tease something big, dropping cryptic messages online about what's to come.
So where are you guys going? Tell the blurred where you guys are going. Tell them about FaZe Banks' exciting trip. Oh, is it a secret?
Then in January 2016, for the first time, all 4 of FaZe's founding members flew to Norway to meet with Sebastian. From the outside, it looked like a victory lap, an initiation into something larger. And just days later, FaZe made it official. According to Sebastian, Hubrik had invested $1.3 million in FaZe Clan to help them grow, and with that money came a new direction. The first
I remember
major
this.
Move, a complete rebrand.
This is
FaZe
low-key when it
2.0,
fell
an
off,
era
but
promised higher
that was
production
a good,
bigger ambitions, and
it
an
was a decent
esports
time.
push unlike anything they'd done before.
It was a decent time, but this is definitely when it fell
we were
off.
talking about how we're changing production. Like the production of our videos is going to immensely increase this year.
And that push started with their most significant acquisition yet, the purchase of the CSGO team, a move that redefined the esports landscape and cemented FaZe as a global powerhouse. From the perspective of the FaZe guys, Sebastian was nothing short of a wizard. In a matter of just months, he had taken their wildest ambitions and turned them into reality. Securing funding, making connections, and pulling the strings behind the scenes like it was second nature. So why wouldn't they trust him?
For real. You gotta be careful for these guys, bro. They're
FaZe Clan
hounds.
had fully settled in California, and with that came a major shift. FaZe wasn't just a group of gamers anymore, it was a business. Sebastian introduced a corporate structure designed to take the pressure off of the founders, letting them focus on what they did best, making videos while the executives handled the rest. Leading the charge was Lee Trink.
What's crazy is he just said giving them like the founders a way to like take out their mind off business, but at the end of the day, I feel like everyone stopped uploading at this time. There was definitely some people that uploaded, but it was not that crazy.
Making videos while the executives handled the rest. Leading the charge was Lee Trink, a music industry veteran best known for launching Katy Perry's career. He wasn't a gamer, but he knew how to build brands and turn cultural moments into business empires. With Trink and his team securing deals and partnerships, FaZe was scaling faster than ever. Their newly hired chief creative officer had even locked in a production deal, greenlighting 2 TV-level series in the FaZe Cast and FaZe Full Throttle. But there was just one problem. Money. The $1.3 million from Kubrick was running out fast. Sebastian needed a new investor. Michael Stang Treschow, son of Millie Marie Treschow and the 7th-generation heir to the Treschow family fortune, with a $4 billion net worth in 2020, chairman of the Norwegian conglomerate Treschow Fritzo, living in the single largest private residence in the entire country of Norway, and the car collection of all of our dreams. By all means, Michael Treschow is him. According to a few Norwegian-based blog sites that I've loosely translated into English, Gertz and Treschow actually seem to go way back. I couldn't pinpoint exactly when or where they met, but in the spring of 2017, Sebastian began pitching Treschow on the future of the internet. Kubrick. And the pitch looked something like this. In a lawsuit filed in 2018, Treschow alleged that Gertz provided him with a pitch deck, one that outlined the capabilities of this app, such as online shopping, the ability to book events and travel, and even downloading and watching movies produced by Kubrick's partners. Warner Brothers, Sony Pictures, Paramount, and even Fox.
That's
the app was
insane.
really state-of-the-art. The technology that it was built upon was worth tens of millions of dollars.
It's just too
even
much,
with
bro.
no active users, if they sold, they'd still sell at a profit. And Treschow bit, signing a check for $2.115 million.
Too many things on that app.
But Sebastian's ambitions were set much higher than just a few $1,000,000. Maybe it was delusion, or maybe he was truly evil, but in July 2017, he coordinated a meeting between himself, Lee Trink, Treschow, and 2 founding FaZe members, Rain and Temper. He pitched the group on a joint merger. The idea was hypothetically bulletproof. You had the most innovative app idea to rival Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You had the billionaire to write the blank checks. And you had the face of mainstream social media to lead users to the app like moths to a flame. Everyone was in. Screw making a couple $1 million off of YouTube AdSense, the members of FaZe were ready to be the next Zuckerberg. Over the next year, Michael Treschow threw millions at Kubrick like they were fun coupons. He even believed in this vision so much that he wrote a term sheet saying if the app picked up, Sebastian would get half of his equity in FaZe. Members of FaZe worked alongside the development team to help make this app the best it could be. Sebastian brought in herds of new advisors, created a separate company that would represent the management side of FaZe Clan, and brought in Greg Selko, founder of Wanderset. And they created a joint venture called W8WS that would handle all of the merchandising for FaZe Clan.
Way too much going on.
Pinnacle. Views were at an all-time high, and merch was selling like a god church.
Good one.
And in summer of 2018,
About
the merger
FaZe.
was signed and set into stone. Banks, Temper,
Yeah,
Apex,
spreading themselves way too thin, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like that's just insane. I feel like definitely the merch was definitely selling, views were definitely up, but you could definitely tell something was going on. Like I was definitely still buying, still tapping in, especially when this house happened, but that was mainly because of Banks. Everybody else was kind of like.
And in summer of 2018, the merger was signed and set into stone. Banks, Temper, Apex, and Rain turned in their share of FaZe, and return received shares of Kubrick. The offices were conjoined, bank accounts were shared, everything was operating under one roof.
I had no idea about this app, I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot about the FaZe things, but not this.
The world can be a dark, sad place sometimes. You guys are responsible for bringing light into your own bubble. You keep that up. I've been fighting and grinding hard too, and yesterday we wrapped up the last funding also. So next month we take over absolute all operations. The start has been great, but it's just the beginning.
Kubrick, the company they had entrusted their expansion to, was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It wasn't a groundbreaking tech startup, it was a half-built platform with no traction, no partnerships, and no future. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. Sebastian Gertz, the man they placed their faith in, had sold them a dream built on lies. Then came the ultimate betrayal. Gertz allegedly forged signatures on the key term sheet, effectively stealing Treschow's shares, and declaring himself the single largest stakeholder in FaZe Clan. The realization hit like a gut punch. FaZe wasn't just in a bad business deal, they had been outright deceived. What followed was nothing short of a corporate coup. One by one, those who had once stood by Gertz turned against him. FaZe's leadership, its investors, even the executives he had installed, all joined forces to push him out. And when they did, it wasn't a quiet departure, it was a total eradication. Reports surfaced of FaZe members storming Kubrick offices, shutting down systems, changing passwords, freezing bank accounts, seizing back control of what was theirs. The house of cards collapsed overnight. Allegations of corporate espionage, fraud, and financial mismanagement flooded the legal system. Lawsuits erupted on all sides. FaZe sued Hubert, Hubert sued back, and the entire mess unraveled into a legal war zone that would take years to clean up. For a while, FaZe kept the chaos under wraps, but then another betrayal sent shockwaves through the community.
I didn't even know
Only
about this
this time,
app
FaZe
at all.
wasn't the victim. They were the villains.
And I'm tapped in.
Tfue, one of FaZe's biggest stars, dropped a lawsuit that rocked the industry. He wasn't just calling out a bad deal, he was lifting the curtain on exploitive contracts, unfair revenue splits, and FaZe was suddenly exposed as the very thing they once stood against.
Tfue is suing FaZe Clan!
I'm gonna be real with you. This is very weird.
What is in this contract is so bizarre. It's so
To understand what happened here, you have to understand.
Who remembers that video?
It's
I
a city
remember that.
built on hype and illusions, where fame is currency and exploitation is the business model. We've seen it happen to child actors, YouTube stars, TikTok influencers. Young talent gets plucked from obscurity, handed a contract, and before they know it, they don't own a single thing. FaZe was supposed to be different, but Turner's lawsuit shattered that facade. The brand was hemorrhaging trust. Despite Hubert's deception about their app's viability, FaZe settled the debacle outside of court, conceding 15% of the company's equity to Sebastian. In doing so, they weren't just relinquishing shares. They were surrendering a piece of their very identity. The 4 letters that were once worn like a badge of honor in gamer tags now felt like a walk of shame.
FaZe
What once
BANJY.
symbolized dreams, brotherhood, and a new era of gaming had become a punchline. The founders spoke openly about it, how wearing the logo felt like carrying the weight of a failed promise.
I couldn't even wear this logo for years, you know what I mean? And just like, I was like ashamed of it, embarrassed about it.
So they did what many do when their world collapses. They numbed it. Drugs, alcohol, reckless spending. It wasn't a party, it was an escape.
Are you serious? Come on, like, I know it's a waste of money, but doesn't that look fire?
And while the founders spiraled, the boardroom tightened its grip. New executives took the reins. Old ones
like
were
this
phased
kinda
out.
answers
Lee
who
Trink became
was wrong
CEO,
with Tfue and
without
FaZe.
the founders there to fight for it, FaZe Clan was left in the wrong hands. The new leadership had a vision. FaZe was a media empire, and esports was their rocket ship. They pitched it like 2010 Bitcoin. Get in early, and when this thing explodes, you'll be worth billions. The stats were staggering. Over 350 million followers across the roster. A direct pipeline to Gen Z.
Was a Gen Z company. Gen Z for Gen Z.
More social engagement than the Lakers, Yankees, or Cowboys. The hype was undeniable.
For
and
real.
investors lined up with their checkbooks in hand.
Huge.
Lee Trink tapped into his music industry connections, bringing in heavy hitters like Jimmy Iovine, the Beats by Dre mastermind. A $40 million Series A funding round followed, with names like Ray J, Sway Lee, Nigel Houston, and Pitbull throwing in their chips.
Dale.
With millions in fresh funding, FaZe went all in. A sprawling 33,000 square foot headquarters, new esports rosters in Valorant, Rocket League, Apex Legends, and even PUBG Mobile. High-profile celebrity signings in Bronny James, Snoop Dogg, Offset, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then the biggest leak yet, FaZe was going public. Through a merger with B. Riley Principal Group, they announced they'd be the first gaming org on the NASDAQ. From the outside, FaZe had arrived. The
That's
first
still
esports
crazy,
org
though,
to
I'm
hit
not
the
gonna
stock
lie.
market. Millions in funding, celebrity partnerships, mainstream crossovers, they had won. Or so it seemed. Behind the scenes, the executives were cashing in. While the brand expanded, the C-suite was quietly padding their pockets, approving lucrative bonuses and compensation packages stuffed with equity, voiding settlement agreements, operating without input from majority shareholders. They weren't focused on building FaZe's future. They were focused on extracting as much value as possible before the inevitable collapse. FaZe Clan's stock market debut seemed like an overwhelming success. The share price, which opened just above $10, skyrocketed to a peak of $23.37 by August 31st, an impressive surge in just under a month. Reality came crashing down when FaZe released its Q3 financial statements nearly a month later, and investors began to see through the smoke and mirrors.
Not
the report
good.
revealed a jaw-dropping $130 million operating loss.
Damn.
As soon as shareholders saw the financial mess FaZe had gotten itself into, panic set in. Investors, realizing the company was essentially bleeding itself dry, ran for the exits. The stock price didn't just dip, it collapsed, plummeting over 95% over the next few months, and eventually bottomed out at just 14 cents per share.
Holy shit.
This wasn't just a case of overvaluation, it was a complete loss of confidence. Once the reality of FaZe's mismanagement became clear, even potential investors wanted nothing to do with them. The company had gone from a promising stock market darling to a cautionary tale of financial recklessness, all within a few months.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us here today at the funeral service for FaZe Clan.
I don't
Had a
like
great
this guy,
run,
chat.
One of the biggest orgs in all of
I
esports,
really don't like this guy.
Gaming in general, really. And now they're buried 6 feet under.
But when the stock was finally delisted and the last corporate stronghold collapsed, it didn't mark the end. It marked the moment that FaZe was up for grabs. And that's when the real threat appeared. The boardroom might have been empty, but the sharks were already moving in. Investors, holding companies, billionaires who saw FaZe as a lifeless asset waiting to be repurposed. Another esports org to buy, another brand to flip, another cash cow. The founders had seen this play
Sebastian
before.
Dozens of people came in. To your point, got equity, they cashed out.
These people are all writing their own deals and the ones kind of behind the scenes making everything happen, right? They don't give a fuck about us at the end of the day. It's all about money for them.
They could roll over again, let someone else take control, and watch FaZe be rebuilt in someone else's image. Or they could fight.
This FaZe is a movie. I don't know how it ends yet, but it's a movie.
This wasn't going to be a passive fight. This wasn't some half-hearted attempt to regain control.
This is so fire, bro.
This was war. And if FaZe's enemies had taught
This
them
is
anything,
so lit.
it was how to play dirty.
I feel like these has overcomplicated it for a long time. I'm done being told no.
For years, Suits had come in, stripped the company for parts, exploited the name, and milked the fans dry. Now, Banks was taking a page out of their own book. No politics, no negotiations, just absolute destruction.
If you don't with this vision, if you're not in line with this, see you at the top.
He wiped the entire slate clean. Dozens of members kicked, contracts torched, socials blanked, the logo, the brand, everything went silent for months. FaZe wasn't dying, it was shedding its skin.
We're turning the chapter and we're doing new
This wasn't about nostalgia, this wasn't about fixing what was broken, this was about burning the whole damn thing down
Y'all
and
see the Pro
rebuilding
Era
from
shirt?
ashes.
There's a lot of things that are going to happen, a lot of changes that are coming.
For years, people said FaZe was over. They said it could never be what it once was. But the thing about FaZe, it doesn't die. It can't be bought.
No matter how much money you have, you can't buy what we created.
It's not a stock price, it's not a balance sheet, it's not a marketing play. It's an idea, a legacy, a culture. And no matter how many times you try to kill it, it always finds a way to crawl back out of the pit. When the reboot was finally announced, Banks pulled from the original playbook. The new roster wasn't rebuilt with A-list celebrities or recycled esports veterans. There was no overpriced signing spree or desperate...
No. They did not have to do my man's Nick Merckx like that. He's not recycled esports veterans. Like, chill with that shit.
Rebuilt with A-list celebrities or recycled esports veterans. There was no overpriced
Show some
signing spree
respect to
or
my man
desperate
Nick.
attempt to buy relevance. Instead, they went back to their roots, picking up real grinders, the ones who actually wanted to be there. Blackboy Max, Silky, Jason the Ween, Stable Ronaldo, and Lacey. A mix of names no one had ever even heard of before. Different backgrounds, different styles, different platforms. And at first, fans were skeptical. After years of watching their childhood heroes get swallowed by sponsorships, boardroom deals, and soulless branding, trust wasn't
I
given.
have that gray
It had to
hoodie
be earned.
somewhere.
What the f is that sorry ass new FaZe Clan lineup, man? Who the f are these people?
But then something changed. The streams continued to roll in, and month-long subathons blurred the line between entertainment and obsession.
Was that
Viral
Ye?
clips dominated every album.
Was that Ye?
Man, who the f are these people?
But then something changed. The streams continued to roll in, and month-long subathons blurred the line
Nah, that's
between
not Ye.
entertainment and obsession. Viral clips dominated every algorithm. A content machine began running hotter, faster, and hungrier than anything FaZe had touched in years. With the numbers skyrocketing and a new fan base growing, suddenly it all felt real again. Not a marketing ploy, not a nostalgia trip, just a group of creators who actually loved this who weren't here for a paycheck, weren't here to coast off of the name, but were here to build something real.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the 50 C-Dog.
Jason, I got you a taco!
FaZe wasn't for sale anymore. They shut down the stores. They ripped the brand deals off of their streams. They walked away from millions on purpose. This wasn't about squeezing every dollar out of the brand. This was about earning respect again and creating the content that the fans actually wanted. The founders had been through the fire. They had trusted the wrong people. They had watched their creation be gutted from the inside out. And now they weren't just rebuilding FaZe, they were protecting it. Banks, Temper, Apex, they became the mentors they never had, the guides they so desperately needed when this journey first started. They reclaimed FaZe to answer the what-ifs, to see what could have been if the first domino hadn't fallen, smothering that spark nearly a decade ago.
I'm in this position where, you know, I put my faith and trust in all the wrong people. It felt like, right?
Hey boys, how you guys doing? I know you guys have been struggling a little bit lately, but I want to say that I'm really proud of you.
I'm at this rock bottom moment in my career where I was pilled on the
That's
fact
the
that,
moment.
yeah, like, you're gonna lose all control over
We
this
was talking about
company.
earlier.
We're in now, it's full time, and I've hired almost 30 people to support you guys every single day.
The crossover and like the way the Venn diagram works with my dad and how much he loved it, and his advice ringing through my head: trust yourself, trust your gut. There's gonna be people trying to take this from you. Telling me and Tommy before we moved to New York,
Before it even happened.
and you think it's your dad being a dad, like, dude, shut the up. Like, we know what we're doing. It's not that serious. It's not that deep. We play Call of Duty. Like, calm down. I'll never be able to fully come to terms with the fact that like that's the note that my dad had to leave on, was seeing like me in that tough spot, because he saw it, you know what I'm saying? It's horrible. Like it's something that I'll never fully be able to like make sense, you know what I mean? But it was his favorite thing that's ever been created, and that's kind of what I'm doing it for, you know what I mean?
Damn. That's
But
messed
what
up,
matters.
bro.
The we're talking about right now, that is what matters. Like you said, it's what you leave behind. It's like, if I could help one kid accomplish that with his dad.
You want to say hi to my dad? Hey! Papa, how are we?
Like, you know what I mean? Not to get like super like poetic or cliche about it, but like that is all I want. Like that's all that I want for the rest of my life.
Your son is 20 out of 10. He is the best. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my whole life. He's doing an amazing job. Thank you. I love you. I love you, man.
And I'll never not trust myself.
W
again.
Banks,
I'll
bro.
never allow myself to get that close to somebody who doesn't give a about me or doesn't have the same vision, priorities, values as me. Ever again. I'll never allow it to happen. Ever again.
Damn. Yo, W Banks, W FaZe, bro. That was a great video. I'm not gonna lie. Bro, the way that Banks was just talking about that right there, like, I ain't gonna lie. That shit made me emotional, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. That was insane. Like, yo, this FaZe shit is so much bigger, bro. And I really fuck with the way Banks' mindset is, like, just so set on, like, just leaving something behind is, like, good. You feel me? Because that's really, that, like he said, that really is all that matters. And especially when you go through things like that, it makes it so much more easier to see the fact that that is absolute facts. That's really all that matters, is just leaving something behind that's good. That you can, you know what I'm saying? Damn, it's a great video. W golf cart.